are going to make a pattern for this bodice, for this dress, just the bodice bit. I hope you'll come and join me. See you in a bit. Good morning and welcome to my channel. If you would like to subscribe, you would be more than welcome. You'll all be pleased to know that I am feeling much better. Thank you all so much for all your lovely comments, and that really helped. So today what we are going to make is a sloper, which is like the skin of the doll. So this is going to fit, the sloper will fit exactly onto the doll, and it will be exactly the side of the doll. And then we will change that sloper into a block so that we can make any pattern to make a design for this doll, this particular doll. Okay, so what we're going to do first is I've taken balance, and I use this, but what you should be using is muslin. And you can get that, but you know, any type of fabric, cottony type fabric will do. You just want to make sure that you get your grain laying straight, and this is the grain of the fabric. Can you see it? And you want a nice straight grain. And then all I've done is I've taken a ruler and I've put myself a straight line sort of going along with the grain. I think I will do is just move it in a little bit more. Look at the grain, because that one, it's looking very wonky there, and I will try and line up my grain a bit better. Okay, and I'm just going to put a straight line going across. Okay, so that is my straight line. I'm going to come up here a bit. Okay, right, now, so this will be the middle of my doll's body here. Okay, I've just put this on her hair to keep her hair out of the way. So what I'm going to do is I need to place this right on the very centre of my doll's body. And it's quite good because she's got her belly button here, and you can sort of see where, if you put her head straight, where the centre of her chin is, going all the way down to her belly button. So if you're a bit concerned and you're not sure that you can keep that line as a straight line, what you can do is take a piece of tape, masking tape, and just run it down the body and up it to where her chin is, and then just press that down, and you'll have a nice straight line. She has a little tiny bit of a indentation here where the breast would be on her. Let's see, get it straight. So that is where your line will be. No, it isn't. Yes, it is. No. So there you go. That is where your line will be, right in the centre of her belly button, running all the way up. That is your straight line for this doll. And we'll just remove that little bit of tape there at the very top where her neckline is. Okay, so there you go. So that is her centre of this doll. Okay, so what we're planning to do, and I've just done a very, very quick 2-second drawing. You'll probably be able to do a much better drawing. As we're planning to do something like this, we're making a block for something like this, and you get your idea and you can draw it down on a piece of paper. Then what we're going to do is we're going to take our fabric, and what we need to do right here at the very top of our fabric is we need to put a slit in where the neck is going to be. So you want to come down about 1/2 inch to 1 inch. Okay, and just pop a little split in it. And as you can see, this is way too much fabric, so I'm going to remove some of it. Okay, and I'm going to pull that up, and I'm going to put that where I want her neck to be. Okay, and then I'm going to line that up, that centre line, with the edge of my tape, and you can see the tape through the fabric on this one, so you should be able to get your fabric lined up so it's touching the very center seam of that piece of fabric, of that masking tape, and line it up with it. I don't know if you can see that, but that is actually touching that. And then take some sellotape, sticky tape, and just stick that in place. Okay. And you want to keep it as flat as you possibly can. There we go. Okay. Yeah. So that's that side done. Okay. Now what we want to do is to come in here and do a few slits, just a couple, little tiny ones, just to make sure that this neck doesn't pull the fabric, because everything on this fabric we want to do is we want to keep it nice and flat. We don't want any bumps or lumps or anything, okay? So you've got it nice and flat like that, and then we're going to take a piece of sellotape or sticky tape and pop it onto that shoulder just there. So it's really important at this piece that you don't pull the fabric, you keep it nice and flat. You're just wanting to lay it so that it would fit like a skin. You don't want to pull any other pieces of it. You just want it to be exactly the same as what you've got on your doll, okay? So we've got that, that's your shoulder up there, okay? So we're coming around there now. Just make sure that there's no lumps and bumps anywhere. And you see, I've got a little tiny bit of a bump here, so I'm just going to undo this piece of tape here and just make sure that's laying quite flat, because it's not quite flat as I want it to be there. That's better. It's trying to lay it without pulling it. That's it there. Can you see that now? That's laying much better. Okay, right, now we're going to go around the arm. All right, so we've got that sellotape there on the shoulder. We're going to do set-in sleeve, I think they call it, or it's a sleeve, and it's just going to come from here, okay? So we're going to clip in this piece of fabric here until we get across to this line here on her arm, okay? So I'm going to sort of come in here like this, look. There we go. I'm just going to clip it there where that sort of seam line is. Don't go into where the body bit is at all, okay? Like that. Alright. And then you want to come along where that, you can feel where that arm joins onto the body. And you want to come along and you want to cut it in like this. Until you sort of, you can feel it there. And then you want to probably do another one as well. Like that. That sort of, and then you'll be able to lift her arm up without making, because you don't, what you want is if you get a wrinkle, it's not going to be it's not going to fit like a skin, is it? So you want to have it like that and keep it so that it's not a wrinkle. So we still need to put another cut just there, coming down underneath that arm. What we don't want to do is cut into this body portion of it. I just want to cut into where the arm is. Like that, okay. That one needs to come in a little bit more because it's not right in. And again, this is just a little bit fiddly to start off with. Once you get the hang of it, once you've got this made up and then you've made it into a pattern block, you've got this for this doll. This will fit, you can make any outfit for this doll. So there you go, there you have a nice fitted piece. Can you see? And I've trimmed it right up to where the arm piece is, on all the way around like that, okay? Then the next thing you want to do is look for where your side seam is. And if you have a look on this doll, Bluebird has actually got a side seam on there. So what you can do again, if you want to, is just to take your tape and pop that on. And I find this helps if you're using something like a muslin or a very thin cotton, like I'm using here. You can pop that on and you can see right through it, and you'll know where the side of your where your seam will be, okay? And this will be the seam. So you want to take your pencil and just draw the line where that seam should be, like that, all the way down, catching it on the edge of that there. You want to make it sure it's lovely and flat and catch the edge of it, okay? So that is the side of her doll, of this doll. So that's where the side seam will go. All right. So then you've got that. Now, say if you wanted to make a pencil skirt, and you wanted this to be a dress rather than just the bodice, because we're just going to make the bodice at the moment. What you would have to do now is look at how we'd have to put. You'd probably have to have, you could taper this in like that, but you probably need here to get it to lay absolutely straight, you'd probably need to have a dart in it to get that to lay exactly as you wanted it, because that's the line here, and as you can see, it's sort of like coming out a little bit. And strangely enough, Bluebell's legs are quite a weird sort of shape. Don't know if you can see. This one seems to be slightly longer than the other. So you have to sort of look with every single doll you've got. They're going to be very, very slightly different in their bodies. So we want this to come in like that. And then we're going to come to the back of it, on the back. And we're going to also make we can make a line down the back, running right down through her back, and then we can make a line of where the back of the bodice is going to go, but we'll make that with a different piece of fabric. When you use this one now, what we're going to do is cut this out or how we want it, so you can have a high-waisted dress bodice and put the bodice and cut the bodice here. Okay, and you just put a straight line across where you'd want it to be. So say you want it just underneath the breast line here, so you would put it just about running across like that, okay, on this side of it for a high dress vested. Find where her belly button is. That is where you would have your usual middle of your dress, so that would be the next line. If you wanted a longer sort of dress, and you wanted a much longer, maybe if you were making a top which would come down, that would be the line which you would have it. A much longer top, say with a bit of lace or something on the bottom coming out, you could use that line down there. All right, and then for the neckline, you can choose what sort of neckline you'd like to do. You might want to do just a very small neckline coming around like this, like that. You might want to have a V-neck one coming down like this, okay. You might want a square necked dress coming down like that. So you could really choose whatever you wanted. You could have a much lower neckline coming around, so that it would be coming around like that, and it would be a much deeper cut. Remembering when you do these, you have to have a this is where the finished line will be, okay. So you will, when you make your piece, which we'll do in a minute, you'll need it up there, but that would be probably as low as you'd want it. This one, if you're going to do this square neck here, that would be more like if you were making a pinafore or something, and you were going to have a top underneath, because otherwise it might be a little bit revealing for the doll. So okay, so just before I start cutting this off, what we will do then is turn this over, and where this is coming here now, this we'll put and take our next piece of fabric. We will draw a line on it. Try and get it along those lines of the grain of the fabric. So you're going to draw your line on it like so. And we'll do exactly the same as we've just done with the front, and we're going to do it with the back. I'm going to take that out of the way a minute. Take some of this fabric off a minute. Okay, and I'm just going to go on to my line here, and I'm going to make sure I get it the right way around. I'm going to cut about an inch down for the neckline. Okay, right. So this is where, wrong way around. I knew I was going to do it the wrong way around. I couldn't see what I was doing from that side round. Cut it down about an inch, okay. And this is going to be, sorry, with a bit of hair. This will be the back of it, okay. So we're going to lay the back onto the very middle of the doll. So you sort of got the bit in between her bottom cheeks and the bit up on her back there like that. And we're going to tape that on. Okay, and we're going to go from about there. Yeah, that's about good. And we're going to put that in the bottom of her bottom there. And we're going to tape this on exactly the same as we did with the front, making sure we've got it in the right place if it moves around. Okay, let's put one more piece on. I don't want it wiggling around too much. Right there. Okay, then we're going to come along here. So I probably should have left myself a little bit more fabric here, just on the top, but that's okay because it's going to be enough to do what I want. And I want to bring it from the line there, and I just want it to come across and be a straight line coming across from the shoulder, like so. Let's get that nice straight line there, sort of a straight line coming across, and this will be my shoulder seam here. So we've got the back piece, and we're going to bring that over, and we're going to fold it under until we get it in line with that shoulder seam. Okay, there we go. So you're going to fold it over and it'll touch onto that shoulder seam underneath, and you've got it laying just like that. Now what you need to do is make sure as you're laying it that this piece of the fabric is coming, so it's coming the whole of the fabric, and that is coming straight from there. Okay, and we've got no folds or anything in it. And you're going to lay that on top of there, like that, okay? And we're going to pop a piece of tape straight across the top of it. No, we're not. We're going to just quickly mark that edge where I've laid it, okay, on the bit which is folded under. And it should be able to run my pencil across that and get a line. That's quite tricky, but I've done it. Yeah, there you go. So that is all folded under, and I've got a nice line running down there. Okay, so now, keeping that nice and smooth, I'm just going to pop a piece of tape over it. Put that one up and put that one over and put that on top. That's it, like that. You can fiddle with it, you know, if you're not happy with it's going, take it out and just make you know, do it again. I am not happy with it. I think I need to bring it down just a fraction. Let's have a look. That's better. I don't want it. That's better. I'm just bringing it down just a tiny fraction from there. Okay, so I need to remark that now in a minute. And then we're going to do exactly the same on the back. We're going to bring this piece in the way onto that arm, the same as we did with the other piece. So we're going to just come in and we're going to snip it around until we get that arm. Don't go into the back of the bodice, okay? So you're just going to come in and you're going to get that in like that. Same here at the top here. Okay, so you're getting that round there like that, and then we're going to get it in here as well. And you can do this for any doll that you use. If you're doing a doll and it's got a bust, say a Barbie doll or a doll like that, you will need to put darts in it. Okay, so you should be able to now. I need another one there, another snip like that. And there are plenty of videos on how to do that. If you would like me to show you how to do it for the Barbie dolls with the bust, I can show you how to do that as well in a separate video. I won't do it in this one because it'll make it too long. Okay, so I'm just going to cut one more little cut. We don't want to go under that arm there, we just want to cut it there like that. Okay, so that will give you a nice flat back that's laying beautifully. And then we're going to do the same as we've just done on the shoulder. We're going to fold this back. I'm going to remove some of it because it's quite a lot there. Okay, and I'm going to fold that back like that. And we're bringing it in. And we're just going to touch it against there. And what you need to what you're looking for is that this is laying beautifully and flat across her back. Okay. We're going to bring that in, and it's going to touch that seam which we've made, following her seam on her body. Okay, and we're going to pop a piece of tape on that for a minute. Okay, there you go. So that is going to be your back bodice. Oh, right, can you see what I've done? Because I pulled it too hard, I moved this bottom piece. So that was not in the centre of her bottom. So it's really good that that happened, because you can see now that putting that on there now, it won't work. I'm going to have to move that fabric over a little bit more, pull it out and get that onto there. Then go back and make sure, always check that you've got a nice straight piece coming down this back. And a bit out on there I think as well. So no, that's okay, it's just pulled it a tiny bit. There we go. Right, okay. Yeah, can you see it's pulled it just a tiny bit there? If I pull that, can you see here, my arm here, where my arm is, it needs to come back here. So I've gone in a tiny bit too far because I pulled that out, all right? So I'm just going to make that there, and we'll know that that is the line. So I'm going to go around everywhere now where this is, and I'm going to draw my lines on this piece of fabric where I need it to be cut. Okay, so I'll go around and I'll just carefully remove the tape as we're going around. And then we shall make that up, all right? So we know that that back line is okay. We now know that the underarms are okay. We've done the underarm. With the neck on this one, I would want it to sort of come almost from where that shoulder seam is. I want it to sort of come, and I want it to sit about here, where her actual neck joins her body. Okay, like that. There, all right? So now I'm just going to be working on the other bits, and we're going to be working on making sure that we get the lines exactly lined up where these ones are. So you would come around and you would measure up where your lines are going and get them nice and straight. But you can sort of, once you've got the idea of where they should be, you will get an idea of where you want them onto your bodice. When you actually are doing your skirt or your dress or whatever, you'll be able to work it out. So to just remove that piece of tape there for a second, and we'll just draw this line where this is sitting here, and you want to get that very edge if you can. Sometimes you can do it with the side of your pencil like this. Can you see here? I'm not quite right. I need to pull that fabric out just a tiny bit. Like that, so that's sitting where that is. That's it's coming in now. A little teeniest, weeniest, a little bit more just in there, like that. That's it. Okay, right. So that is like that. All right. So that is pretty much how your bodice is going to be, and we're just going for a round neck there. All right. So now we're going to take it off her. Make sure you've got your lines everywhere they need to be. So you've got your line there, you've got your line for your back, you've got your line for your neck, and you've got your line all the way around your arm, and you've got your line on your shoulder, okay? So remove your tape and take everything off the doll. So here we have our two pieces of fabric, okay? This is the front, so I'm just going to put a foot on it, and this is the back. Okay, now if you remember when I did the front, I put two lines on there, and the reason I did that was because of this is a selvage edge, and I don't want to be using this selvage edge at all. I just want to be using this stuff on here. Okay, so now to make the skin, what we need to do is to take this now, and this will cut down, so this will be the sloper which we're actually going to make. So what I'm going to use is these, and these are called a French curve. I can get them out. Okay, so I've got several different ones here. These are quite small ones. You can get nice, great big ones, but I'm going to use these. You don't have to use this. You can just sort of eyeball it, or you can use little, you can use things like a cotton reel and all sorts of stuff like that to get the actual shape that you want it to be into. Okay, but because I've got one, I'm just going to use it. So I'm going to start with my front here. And this is my lines, so I'm just going to very carefully just pop my lines in, just like so. Just my shoulder, that's my line there, and that's my front line coming down here. So when I come along with this, I'm going to just come in then, and I'm going to put in the curves that I want for this to sit right. And I'm just going to have a very little small curve for my neckline. Here, I'm just going to get that into place. These aren't that expensive. You can get them on places like eBay, and you can get little sets of them, or just one big one, or whatever you want, and they're quite handy for doing stuff like this. And you just want to come along, and anywhere which is straight, use a ruler, and anywhere which is curved, you want to make sure that you use your curved line. Okay, I'll just put that back in because I couldn't quite see it. And this is my piece of the here, and I think, yeah, I'm just going to come down with that down to about here. And that's it. That's sort of the shape I'm going for. And I'm going to do the same with my arm, and you just sort of wiggle it around until you get it into where you want the shape of it to be, and you should be able to get a nice sort of shape in there. Okay, there we go. Okay, like that. There, all right, just like that. And then let's say we're going to have this is our base for our piece. All right, so I'm just going to go for a straight line. You can get a straight line. If you've got one of these, this is great. If not, what you'll have to do is line up your ruler so that, and make sure you've got a ruler which is straight across there, and line it up on that central line like that, and you can get a nice straight line. But I'm going to just use one of these. Again, you can get these on eBay and places like that. Hobbycraft, I think, sell them in places like that. You can just use any ruler, especially like I've got a metal one which I use for everything, and that works really well because that end is nice and straight. Okay, but you'll know that you've got a nice straight bit there. Although usually what I would like to do is just to come up here on the corner, just like that, and have a little bit of a shape to that bodice, more like that. So that is what I'm going to do, and I'm going to cut this out just to show you. Usually now what you would do is go around and you would give this a seam all the way around, but I'm going to cut this out so you can see. So this is actually going to be the doll's, this is what it would be if you took a doll's skin off. Say with the American Girl dolls with their fabric bodies, this would be the fabric body of the doll. Okay, so that is the front cut out, and I'm just going to cut out, do the same with the back, and I'll do exactly the same with the back. But what you need to make sure is where your shoulder seam comes on the back, it has to be in the same length as the one which you've got on your front. Okay, so I'm just going to wiggle this around until I get this into the right place, and I'm going to use my little ruler to draw the lines where I want them to go, and then I'll come back. So here we have our pieces. This is the front and this is the back. Okay, now I'm still going to wiggle around and I'm going to play around with this when we do it. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to take 2 more pieces of fabric, and I'm going to make sure the fabric is nicely ironed and flat, and then we're going to take this, I'm going to place this onto the fabric, and we're going to give it a 1/4 inch seam allowance all the way around here on the front, because we're going to have, unless you want an opening at the front, we're going to have a join. So we will make a join here. Okay, so that will be, and that will be this, we will put this on the fold and we will do it like that. For the piece on the back, okay, this is our back, we want to have extra piece because we want it to fold over and under, so that we've got a piece here, so where we can put our fastenings onto. Okay, so that will be for the back. So we should put these onto another piece of fabric now, a nice ironed piece of fabric, and we should do the next piece. So I've just popped this onto a piece of fabric and I starched it, and I starched these 2 pieces, and they sort of lay together, and I'm just going to now use my pencil to draw all the way around. Now this will be now your stitching line. This is what you will use to stitch. So if you wanted to, you could use a different colour pencil and do one colour for your stitching line and the other colour for your cutting line. Okay, so that is your stitching line, and it's going to have a join in the middle here. Just going to put this on the fold. Okay, so I've already got it on the fold, and I've got a fold on that. So I've just written fold on there. This will be your front. Okay, and this is going to be your back piece. So this will be, so what you could do if you wanted to, and you just wanted to have it so it was just a sewing line, is just do small pieces like this so that you know this is where you are going to stitch your fabric. Okay. Now, when I'm doing the back, and I'm putting a piece of fastening in, I usually like to have it just slightly more, so I would probably go for something like 6/8, or rather than a quarter, not 6/8, what would that be? So it's rather than a quarter of an inch, I'm trying to think it out. I'm trying to work it. I'm thinking in metric and not working it out in my brain. So this is going to be a back. So we're going to have, now we're going to take our ruler and we're going to mark at a quarter of an inch all the way. So you're just going to come out like this, and you're going to come all the way around with it on your line, and you're going to mark it at a quarter of an inch, okay? Like so. And then you do the same here at the bottom, and just keep marking all the way around at a quarter of an inch. And I'm going to go all the way around this, and all the way around this one, obviously not on this side, but all the way around the outside, and mark it up at a quarter of an inch. So I've got all my lines on there, all drawn out at a quarter of an inch, and what I want to do is make them as straight as I possibly can. So I'm going to come over with my ruler and actually go across with my ruler and join them up and get them as straight. Obviously with your neck pieces you're not going to be able to do that because they have to be a little bit more curved, so you can use your ruler, or you can just go ahead and just do it as you would freehand, you know, it's up to you. So that's going to go like that. Use your curve again to do this. I'm trying to work out which way. That way. Like that. That just gives me a bit of a straighter edge, which I can, oops, that's got to come out a bit, so straighter edge I can work with there. Okay, because you don't really want any too many bendy bits if you can help it. And then what you'll do is when you come to do it, you'll work off this edge. So you'll, even though you've got your dotted line here, you won't sew on that, you're going to sew off this edge here, so you'll use your quarter inch from this line, okay? Same here again on the bottom. There we go. And I just came in like that a little bit, I think, on the bottom, did I? No, I think let's try this. Let's just work with that. I can't remember what I did now. That's the other thing as well. It's a really good idea if you can, whenever you're doing anything like this, to try and write down what your workings out are. And I would usually do that as I'm working it out. I'd say I came in from the bottom there, or I did this here, or I did that there, to get it into the right shape that I wanted. Oh, that's it. Oops. I got it to there. This one has got a bit of a, I'm going to try and get that a little bit straighter, I think. If I can, come down straight as that one there. Join it up to that one there. Okay, so if you think that you'd like me to make a Barbie one, or a Disney princess one, or anything like that at all, you give me leave a comment below and I will get back to you. Now, can you see what I've done here? That definitely isn't a quarter of an inch there. It needs to come up. So I'm just going to bring that up a little bit. Should have been up to there. So that needs to come more like that piece. Okay, and remember, this is not your, this will be to make a pattern block. This is not going to be to make your actual garment. This is just going to be for a pattern block. Okay, so we're going to cut this out now, and we're going to make this up, and then we're going to look at it. So I just realised that what I like to do is I like to do a 3/8 of an inch seam on that very back. So coming from here, I would come in and I would just bring that line out just a little tiny bit more, because I just like because you're going to be putting a fastener in that on that, I would like that to be just a little bit wider. So I'm just going to come in and make that line on the back there just that little bit wider. So instead of a half, instead of a half an inch there, I'm just going to make that on the 3/8 line, just to give you that tiny bit extra where the fastening is going to go. So I'm just going to come in like that. Oops. There, okay, and bring that in like that. There we go. So I've put my 1/4 inch foot on there. If you don't have a 1/4 inch foot, you can still work it out with the lines of your sewing machine on here. It's got all the different sizes on the actual thing, on the foot itself. I'm just going to grab some pins. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to quickly place my shoulders together. Right, can you see where, now these shoulders fitted exactly, but no, I have not done them, I've not cut them exactly the same. So I'm just going to nip those around to make sure that they're exactly the same size. They should have came out exactly the same size, so obviously my 1/4 inch marking wasn't quite what it should have been. Okay, so I've just popped that in there. I'm going to put a pin in that side there like that, and I'm going to do the same on this side. Remembering this is just your first go at it, so you know, don't worry too much. We're just having a play with this, and this is why we've got this piece of old fabric. It doesn't matter if something goes wrong with it. Hopefully that's not too glary for you. I'm going to place it onto my fabric here, and I've just got it just touching the very edge of the fabric, and I'm going to remove that pin, and I'm just going to stitch straight across. Now, if you were making this and you want to do it really professionally more, and you don't want any bulk or anything in it, you can instead of doing a back stitch here, what you would do, and I know they do this when they make dresses in fashion companies, you know, individually made dresses, they, instead of doing a back stitch, they will tie their threads, and that does create less bulk, so that does work for dolls' clothes if you want to do that. So I will just run this through. I'm just keeping that on that 1/4 inch there, okay? Lift that up, all right. There we go, and then I'm going to just take that off. And give yourself enough to do, and then you can do the other one as well. Just like that, make sure it's sitting properly on there. Should be seeing how to pin in it, but there you go. Right, okay, sorry. So pop that one on and do the other one exactly the same. Okay. Now what you would do if you're actually making up your garment is put all your other stitches in, stage stitches and everything like that in just the same. But because we're making this and we're making it for a pattern, we're just going to do this at the moment, and then we are going to come back and look at it and see how it's actually fitting together. Now can you see my lines aren't quite perfect here? Alright, so I'm going to do my best and put them together as I would if they fitted exactly, and then what I can do is when I make up my actual block, I will work those around to make sure that those are laying in the correct position. So I'm just going to run this up, and I'm going to use the inside one. Do the same on the other side, and then we'll have a look at it. And so here is our finished block. So it's fitting her beautifully, as you can see. Obviously when we do the arms, that will work out better, but you can see it's fitting her beautifully around her body. Now what you can do now, if you feel that you would like it to be a little bit more, is to take your pins here and have it as you would have the back lying, like this, okay? So you lay that in place, and you can pin this together. Good if you'd kept your pins out. There we go. Pin that in place onto her body. Remember, you have to have a tiny bit of give. You don't want it skin tight. But pin it in place how you feel that that would go nicely. So that's about where the back would fold back on both sides, like that. And then if you feel that your waist you could have done with a little bit more tapered in here, you can always just go in with your pencil or go in with a pin and come in and just draw a little line where you think that that would have been nice if you could have had it a little bit more tapered, and then you take that off, fold it in half and do exactly the same on the other side. The neck and everything will come down once you join the two pieces together. You're going to do a line of sewing across here, which I will do in a second, and then I will snip all the way down so you know that that is a nice finished neck. Okay, take those out and I'll just show you how I do that. So what I would usually do with the neck is go around, once I've got both my shoulder seams together, is I'm going to come around and I'm going to do a line of stitching where that on that line there. Okay, and I'm just going to stitch across that line there. All right, and then what you will do is you will come around with your scissors and you will snip just up to that line, like that, all the way, and anywhere else there is, you do exactly the same here on the arm. Okay, and then you'll come in afterwards and snip all the way around. All right, so that basically is your how to make a fitted bodice for your doll. Now this plan works with any dolls which basically have a straight front. If you would like to do it for a let's have a look, I'll show you the dolls which this works for. This will work for a Welly Wisher and an Our Generation doll. It will work for the Glitter Girl doll and an American Girl doll. It will work for Forever Friends doll. This will work for both boy and girl dolls, like that. This will work for Disney Princess doll. This will also work for any of your dolls, like a Tiny Tears or Baby Bjorn or any of those type dolls as well. But if you are going to use it to make that way of doing it will also work for like the Skipper dolls or any of the very tiny dolls which doesn't have a breast. If you need to do it with a doll with a breast, you will need to put in a dart in it. So if you want me to show you how to do that, please leave a comment down below. Okay, so basically that is how we make your bodice block for any of those dolls. Also, I've made these up and I have them and I will leave them, and here they are. So this is the bodice block. This is made much smaller. Okay, and that's how it will actually work. So you've got your block, that is your block, and as you can see it's made already in exactly the same way as this, and that will give you a much smaller top. Okay, you can make so many different things out of this basic pattern. Okay, you can do your dress, that would just be an ordinary dress. You can make it longer and you can have a frill across the bottom and have a long top. You can make, you could use this part of the top, just the very front piece, join it together with another one and add a bit more and make an apron. You could make shirts with it. You can have it, instead of having your opening at the back, turn it over so that when you do your back, you'll join it up together as the back piece, have it on the fold, and the front piece, just add your extra pieces over. That then makes the front of a shirt, which you can have opening. If you add sleeves into it, it can be for a jacket. You can use this basic block for virtually anything you want to use. Once you've got your basic block, you can start doing things with it. So here is the basic block which I took from this, and I've just gone around it and drawn around it and made a basic block from it. I've made it shorter so that you've got it and it's not so long onto the doll, because then you can have a longer waist on it. And then I'm just going to show you some of the things you could do. If you wanted to just have it and you wanted to make it into a top like that, you could make your top by just doing this piece and then have this piece in net, or you could just cut all this off together, all complete, and just have it like that and join it onto your back. You could do a crisscross dress where you come in like this and you just bring it down like that there, and then you'd have another one which came in and went down like that. So you'd have a crossover dress which sort of sat like that. You could then do a dress which has a front opening, so you've got like a jacket running down like that, and then you would just put your extra bit of fabric on there. You can then add a piece of fabric down the center like so, and have lace, say, running along up here like this, and have buttons down the center. So basically any pattern you can think of, this is going to be your basic bodice, and you can just work off that and make any design you want to make. Okay, so I have one of these which will fit my welly wishers and my so I have one of these which will fit my glitter girls, and I have a pattern which also fits my Our Generation dolls, and it also fits the Disney Princess dolls. So I'm going to put those up, and you can take those and print those and work with those yourself. But what you do need to do is each of the dolls which are stuffed, which are the Our Generation, the American Girl, the Forever Friends, all of those type of dolls, each one has been stuffed slightly differently, so you do need to measure yours, and you might have to add a little bit more on here, or you might need to take a little bit off, or depending on how much stuffing you have inside. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. I'm going to carry on, and I'm going to actually try and make something with this, and hopefully I will show you later on what I've made. You can also go ahead and actually make yourself a nice collar, so the dolls could have a nice collar with it, so that you've got more of a shirt with it. Okay, what I will do is, if you're interested and you've enjoyed watching how to do this, I will show you how to make it for a Barbie doll. Also, I will show you how to make the basic block, or the basic skin and the basic block for trousers, and how to make the basic skin and the sloper and the block for making sleeves as well. Okay, so you've got it all there, and it's all going down, and you're going to have your snips put in, and that'll be exactly, and you've made your adjustments to fit exactly where you want it on the doll. You can use a different colour pencil or felt or whatever you want to get the actual dimensions. So it's all done, and you're pleased with it, and you've measured it all on your doll. So what you're going to do now is you're going to make this into a pattern. So you're going to take this back, and you're going to make sure it's lovely and it's ironed and it's nice and flat after you have taken all of your stitches out. So just go ahead with your quick on pick, seam ripper, whatever you want to call it, and just go ahead and take your stitches out. Okay, and then you should be able to just pull that out once that's come out like that, and go along and take all the stitches out, and then we can lay it onto a piece of paper. If this is going to be your main pattern and you're going to use it all the time, what you can do is just to make this in card. So you've got your one, and you've got your first one, and it's in card, and you're all sort of pleat, and that's how you want it. Okay, once you've got that, you can muck around with it. You can cut out as many of these out of some old cotton, old fabric as you want, and then you've got those already. You'll know that this fits that doll absolutely perfectly, because that was made to fit that doll. Okay, and then you can take it and do any design you want on it. So I'm just going to finish off taking the last stitches out here, and then I'll show you what I'm going to do. So I will keep this one, and this will be I will put this in my pattern book, where in my design book, where I keep my designs and that which I'm making. I'll iron it lovely and flat, so it's all nice and flat, and then I will take some Pritt stick, and I can take it and you can put it onto a piece of cardboard.
so that you've got it forever if you want, or you can put it onto a piece of paper and then that will work really well. You don't really want to be pinning cardboard onto your fabric. It's much better to pin it onto paper. Okay, so you'll iron that nice and flat, take your prick stick, stick it on to your piece of paper or your card, and then you will have you'll know that this piece of thing will be your bodice pattern for everything that you make. For this will be everything I make for Bluebell will be here. If I've got Pfeiffer as well, which is the same doll, she's exactly the same dimensions, I've measured her all over. So I will take that and I will glue that onto there. Once it's flat, I'll probably give it a starch and flatten it, and then I'll glue that onto there, and then I've got my pattern. Okay, and I can work from there whenever I want to do a top for them, a bodice for that doll. Okay.
I hope you enjoyed this video. Please give us a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel and hit that bell for any notifications. If you would like to leave a comment, I'd really like to know what you thought. See you soon. Bye.